Mr. Grobman, my name is Aron G. Goryn, and I live with my wife Adela at 4900 Foster Street, apartment 307 in Skokie, Illinois. Zip code 676. We will gladly give you the needed information you are seeking about Rabbi Bonnen and his assistant Eli Heimberg, but I must make it clear that we have no notes with dates. We never had ones, and everything is based on our memories. We will try our best. We think Rabbi Bonnen and Mr. Eli Heimberg did their utmost, got out of their way in helping the DPs of the Jewish minority in Salzburg, Austria, in time when we needed their help mostly, right after the liberation. As far as I remember, we met Rabbi Bonnen and Mr. Eli Heimberg in Camp Riedenburg, Salzburg, Austria, in mid-summer of 1945. They stopped their jeep in the yard of the camp and told us they are Jewish Americans. They will try to help us. We were naturally overtaken with joy and hopes. To understand us, one, I think, must be one of us, because when we think and reminiscence of those days, we don't believe ourselves how we survived and how we got out of those horrible situations. From that day on, their visits to the camp were very frequent. The fact by itself that two American officers are so interested in the fate of the Jewish people in the camp had a tremendous impact on the non-Jewish people in the camp, and I am sure even on the representatives who ran the camp, supplied the camp with necessities. I don't want to leave the impression that we were discriminated against. Absolutely not. The UNRWA people, the Red Cross, the American Army, they did wonderful things for us, but we were scared to death, physically and psychologically broken up people, and we needed help and guidance. And that's what we were given by Rabbi Bonnen and Mr. Eli Heimberg, help and guidance. Many of us, including my wife, had relatives in the States, but there was no private mail going out to the States at that time. Rabbi Bonnen and Mr. Eli Heimberg put us in contact through the army, I suppose, with our relatives in the USA, a tremendous help in that time. By this time, autumn was in the air, and we were talking about the coming up holidays. One day, Rabbi Bonnen and Mr. Eli Heimberg told us that the Jewish soldiers of the American Army will have religious services in Salzburg, I think in the Opera House, and we all are invited to attend the services, and we will be greeted by the General of the Army. We all were there. We looked at our brothers silently, greeted the General, but who can describe what was going on in our hearts and minds? Even now, when I am talking about it, I have goose pimples all over my body 30 years after. That was an experience none of us will forget it. And it happened only because of Rabbi Bonnen's and Mr. Eli Heimberg's deeply intelligent and highly human understanding of our mentally troubled souls. Thank you, Rabbi Bonnen and Mr. Eli Heimberg, and God bless you both wherever you are. Sorry I got involved emotionally. Riedenburg was a camp of all nationalities, and the conditions were not of the best, but none of us, as far as I know, complained about it. Soon we found out that somebody was very interested in changing our conditions to the better. Again, the ones were Rabbi Bonnen and Mr. Eli Heimberg. We were told that the American army allocated for us, the Jewish group in Riedenburg, a new location, a complex of two-story buildings into which we will be transferred. The army built for us a kitchen with all cooking utensils, a hall for meetings, provided a truck to bring the allocated food. The new location was called New Palestine. Every one of us got a place to stay. A family got a room for themselves. Single ones got a room for two. In the new location, each flat had running water with a bed and toilet. We could not believe it is true. And again, I must add, it was the time 1945. And it was done by the help of Rabbi Bonnen and Mr. Eli Heimberg. It is impossible for me to say what was done to the group separately by Rabbi Bonnen and what separately by Mr. Eli Heimberg. They worked as a team, a very successful team, and the decision of one of them was considered as a decision of both of them. The New Palestine group was created to help the people of the group to get by the very hard period of time right after the end of war. The situation was chaotic. A single person was lost. As a group, we were able to deal with the situation more effectively, especially when our spokesmen, our representatives were such dedicated persons as Rabbi Bonnen and Mr. Eli Heimberg. I think that was the idea of creating the group, and it worked very well. The group, after moving in, had a meeting, and it was decided to make elections of 3 men who would run and represent the group. I was approached and actually drafted to be one of them. I was not involved with the people, not politically and not any other way. I didn't know most of them. After the elections, it was decided again between us 3 for me to be the chairman, and another man, a bookkeeper, to be a secretary, and the third man, a vice chairman. We were elected only for 3 months. As I mentioned before, we had to deal with the distribution of food. We had a kitchen and utensils, but the religious group wanted a kosher kitchen. After a debate between us, the committee decided for a kosher kitchen, figuring that everyone in the group will benefit. And it was a right decision. Here is why. To run all the things, the deliveries, the cooking, the distribution, was the group's job. We needed help to do that. Everything was on a voluntary basis. And here where the religious group came in. They delivered most of the help in order to be sure everything is kosher. Everyone was happy. I like to mention one incident which had to do with the help we got from Rabbi Bonnen and Mr. Eli Heimberg. Everything we got as a group, we got through them. And I am sure if they wouldn't be there, we, the group, would have much, much less. One Friday morning, the truck came back with a load of white bread instead of rye bread. The man in charge told us this is done with the compliments from Mr. Eli Heimberg, so the group should enjoy to the oncoming Sabbath. Rabbi Bonnen and Mr. Eli Heimberg not only were doing their job, they were thinking constantly of bettering out our situation. In the new location, we soon organized a room with a few sewing machines, which we got with the help of Rabbi Bonnen and Eli Heimberg, and everyone could come in and do his or her sewing. The religious group, with help from everyone, organized a shul. They got even a Torah. We had a police force, a first aid station, a beginning of a theatrical group. Rabbi Bonnen, I am sure, with the help of Mr. Heimberg, start to receive close packages from their friends in the States, which they turned over to us, and we distributed to the people. This was a major help for us, since there was no way of getting something in clothing much needed on the market, even for money. After 3 months, the committee was re-elected and things went on much the same. Everyone in our group was registered to go to the States or to Israel. We, I and my wife, were registered to go or to Israel or to the States. I have relatives in Israel. My wife had relatives in the States. We decided to go wherever it will be possible to go first. The idea was to get out from Europe, which still was in chaos. One afternoon, Rabbi Bonnen came in and told me if I wish to go to the States, I have a chance, but I must leave the next day at 6 in the morning. After consulting my wife, we decided to take the chance. It was a very sudden departure, but next day at 6 in the morning we were picked up by an American truck with more people like us, and we went to Bremenhaven and from there to the States. This is more or less the story of our meeting with Rabbi Bonnen and Mr. Eli Heimberg. All the facts I am talking about are from my memory. I am sure I missed many of such which would put Rabbi Bonnen and Mr. Eli Heimberg in even a better position, because their help to our group was of tremendous importance and in a very hard time, and very much needed and appreciated. To illustrate the people's feelings of our group and their appreciation for the help we got, the group decided to present Rabbi Bonnen with a certificate of honorary citizen of New Palestine settlement. It depends how one looks at it. We emotionally involved in it, put in it our best feelings and thanks. Again, it was presented to Rabbi Bonnen, but it was meant for both of them. For the team of Rabbi Bonnen and Mr. Eli Heimberg, we put it in English, had a very successful meeting of the group with Rabbi Bonnen and Mr. Eli Heimberg, and everyone was happy. Every speaker and everyone was welcome to say his mind, was underlining and thanking for the help both of them, Rabbi Bonnen and Mr. Eli Heimberg, provided for the group New Palestine. In conclusion, I should say I have not enough words to thank for the help the group got from Rabbi Bonnen and Mr. Eli Heimberg. I had no contacts with other Jewish chaplains in Austria. I like to think, Mr. Grobman, I am helping you in putting the names of Dr. Rabbi E. Bonnen and Mr. Eli Heimberg on top of the list of the very dedicated men in helping the Jewish DPs constructively in their time of great need. Now, my wife Adela Goryn would like to add some of her memories.
My name is Adela Goryn. I would like to tell a story about Rabbi Bonnen and about Eli Heimberg. In order to tell you the story, you should understand, I have to tell you another story, how it happened. We were all in a cattle train, and we were stacked in so closely that we couldn't move. And we were going to Austria, to Salzburg. And the whole night and the whole day was staring in my eyes terrible big swollen feet. And I decided when we arrive to Salzburg, I would like to locate the body to those feet. Then in Salzburg, somebody took off the boy with a car to a hospital, and I lost him. So I decided, after a couple days, that I'll go in all the hospitals and look around, and I'm sure that I'll find him. So I did. I was going from hospital to hospital, and while I was looking for this person, I found all kinds of sick people, DPs. So I made a list of all of them, and I found my boy who was so ill. It was a 21-year-old boy. His name was David Kassir. He was so terribly ill. It was later, about 3 days, and nobody took care of him. He was just laying in the hospital. They didn't do a thing for our people. I was very upset. Going home, I decided I have to do something. The first thing I thought, I'll collect a half a dozen of American officers and to go into the hospital, and they should be scared, and then they'll start to take care of our sick people. Well, I was going around until I hit Rabbi Bonnen and Eli, and I told them, I need officers, important people to scare off the Germans there. For a while, maybe for 2 weeks, every day we were going to the hospital. When the Germans saw us coming, they started to take care of the people. This boy had a lot of water. The water had, in high fever, a lot of water, and nothing was done until the officers came. The first day, I told them, we are not going to leave until they'll help David. When they start to take out the water and to work on him, and the boy got to feel better. Since then, since then, Rabbi, we needed all kind of medicines, all kind of things. Rabbi Bonen and Eli provided everything because we couldn't get a thing. And I was going every day to the hospital and watching our sick people. It was a whole summer. Winter came, we had people sick and tuberculosis. As you know, Austria is very cold, and it would be impossible to keep him there. We got an ambulance and took 4 people to Milan, to Italy. And unfortunately, we lost 1 man on the way going to Milan, and the other 3 got healthy. This was everything done because of Rabbi Bonen and Eli Heimberg. You understand, there was a question of gas, a question of everything to provide the people with the ambulance. It should be able to go to Milan and had to come back to Salzburg. This is one thing, and I would like to add one thing for myself. I was also very ill with arthritis when I came out from the Holocaust. They helped me tremendous. They took me even to the general's doctor. I used to tell Eli, throw me in the ditch. I can't take it anymore. Why do you have to drag me to the doctor? And he used always to laugh and to say, you'll see, you'll come to America and you'll be very happy and healthy. In order to make me laugh, he even learned a few Polish words to talk to me. He knew that when he'll talk Polish, I have to laugh. And I really laughed with all my heart when he started to talk Polish to me. God bless him. We'll never forget him. What they did for everybody. One more thing. Since the war, I didn't see Rabbi Bonen. I see him all the time when I look back with a big sack on his shoulder. This sack was his business. Everything was in the sack which every sick person needed, or a child, a medicine, a pair of shoes, a pair of shoelaces, whatever you name it, he had in this sack. And that's the way I remember him. God bless him. They are wonderful people. Words cannot describe them. You know, I lived through a war. Money, it's good to have. I'm not jealous if someone has money. I'm just jealous if somebody can be so darn good and patient like they are.